Hello and welcome to the Story Behind the Stories, your weekly look at the pages of the Neepawa Banner Press. Thank you very much for taking a little bit of your time and spending it here with us on NAC TV. I'm Eoin Devereux with the Banner Press, welcoming you to this week's edition of the program, joined this week by Casper Wehrhahn. Casper, good to have you here this week.
Good to be here once again and going through another edition of the paper. Very full too, I must say.
Oh yeah, most definitely. The truth is we're not going to have time in the next 30 minutes to be able to go through every single item of interest that we've got for you this week. That's why, of course, you got to pick up a copy of the paper. Anywhere in 30 different communities throughout Western Manitoba, you can pick up a physical edition of the Banner Press. Or if you're not able to, if you're outside of our catchment area, always remember, every Friday morning, in and around 9 a.m. Central Time, maybe a little earlier, maybe a little late, we'll see how it goes. We go live on our mywestman.ca website, and so that's something we always appreciate, you picking up a copy or showing your support in some way, shape, or form. Speaking of support, just going to mention this sort of in passing. I'm not sure if you can see it, it's a little small one right here, but it's got the Canada pin on this week. For the Olympics, Team Canada out and about showing the support. You know, I want to show support. Even though I don't do sports, even though I don't play sports, even though most of the sports they have in the Olympics nowadays I don't quite understand, I still want Canada to do very well in those sports. So if they bring home a medal in like breakdancing, it's still a medal. It still counts. It
does, yeah. Yeah, I was actually surprised this year hearing about the different new categories. Well, I don't know how new they are. I haven't kept in touch with the Summer Olympics for quite a while.
Yeah.
But some of the new categories that they have on there, like breakdancing, I think I was skateboarding, and there were some other ones that I was just like, huh? That's a thing?
Yep.
That's like kind of cool, but also mind-boggling.
I know for sure breakdancing is brand new for this year. I forget whether skateboarding is new for this one or whether they had the last one, but it is relatively new as well. And the funny thing is, I'm sorry, this instantly ages me type thing. It was like, I can't believe they have breakdancing, but they don't have baseball in the Olympics.
Really?
The baseball, no, it'll be in the next one as a demonstration sport.
Okay.
But apparently not enough nations in the world play baseball, but enough nations in the world breakdance.
Dancing is universal.
Yeah. My God. And again, I'm at that age where I was a child of the 80s, so, you know, I was there when breakdancing was around to begin with. Oh, man. We've come a long way, I'll tell you that. And maybe one of these future editions of the Banner Press will have some breakdancing in there, but we're going to have to make do in this week's edition with the rodeo on the front page of the new edition of the Neepawa Banner Press. I had an opportunity this week to head a little further north of Neepawa to the community of McCreary. They had their annual rodeo, obviously in partnership with the Heartland Rodeo Association. It's part of their summer circuit of events that they have throughout Canada, or not throughout Canada, I should say, throughout Manitoba. And they had their weekend festivities in conjunction with the McCreary Ag Society and their annual fair. It is such a huge event each and every year. And I got to admit, this is actually, for me, it's the first time I've actually attended the McCreary rodeo in any way, shape, or form. I've been here 10 years, so obviously there's been, well, excluding obviously the COVID year, at least 9 of these events that have gone on, but I've never attended. We have other people who are fans of rodeo who have attended in prior years. We have other reporters that have attended, that type of thing, but this is the first chance I get. And I gotta say, in a way, Casper, despite the heat, it was warm. I kind of missed out on that because that was a great event with a lot of different things. You don't need to be, quote unquote, agriculturally inclined to enjoy an event like this. I had a great time.
Right, yeah, I mean, as you said, with something like this going on, you really don't have to have an agricultural background. And this is something I definitely want to at some point, one way or another, get down and maybe see it for myself. Because I also haven't been down there yet, but it always looks like such a great show. All the different events going on. I mean, there's so many different things you can check out there, and the photos that Eoin got that we have in this week's paper are just fantastic. Marvelous photo on the front page, but also some on the inside there on page 15. So definitely check those out. And if you haven't been down there yourself, maybe think about checking it out next year too for yourself.
But bring a big hat with a big brow, because it'll get a little warm out there.
Oh yes.
But no, it was a lot of fun, and that's a big part actually of this week's edition, and most likely a lot of our editions that are going to be coming up for the month of August. We're going to be talking about fun, festive activities throughout all of Western Manitoba, because we got a few more we talk about today, and we got a few that we didn't have time or space to talk about. Maybe we'll get to them, but we'll see how this next half hour goes. But McCreary was a lot of fun. It's been a while since I've been able to take the drive up there. So it was wonderful to get that opportunity. Let's get these things out of the way right now. We've got a pair of stories. We're going to start off a little further down the road in Minnedosa on this first one. But we got a pair of stories you hate to report on, but at the same time, they do draw a lot of eyes and a lot of interest to the pages. And the first one has to do with an unfortunate incident, a circumstance that has occurred in Minnedosa for the second time. Fortunately, spoiler alert, there's a good news at the end of it all. But we're going to throw over to Casper to share some of the details of the disappearance of art.
Yeah, well, we definitely have a bit of a mixture of the good and the bad this week. Thankfully, mostly good. But getting the bad out of the way, down in Minnedosa, the statue out front of Inspire Studio, locally known as Art, has unfortunately been vandalized again. If you're not familiar, this incident happened prior to this one other time, and the head was knocked off of the statue. It was later returned, but then it had to be reattached somehow. So they figured out a way to reattach it. They used heavy-duty magnets, etc.
Magnets!
Whoa!
Yeah!
Magnet fandom coming out strong. And, it was good. It held up against, weather and all that, intense storms, so that was all fine. This also did, however, mean that the head was reattachable or detachable, which, there's some benefits to that.
Yep.
But someone ended up taking advantage of that, took the head for a little bit of a tour around.
Yeah.
Where exactly they all went, don't know. But thankfully, the head did get turned up. Someone found it at the beach, and the owner of Inspire Studio, Marliese Soltis, was contacted. So I have heard that it has been returned now. So that's good at least. But then we also had an incident in Neepawa here at the Golf and Country Club. And
this one couldn't be fixed with magnets, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, it required a little bit extra there. Thankfully, this one wasn't too bad. It was considered minor, mostly just what do they call it there? Cosmetic damage, but still damage, still an inconvenience, and something you don't want to see happening in and around your communities. But someone decided to take a joyride on the course on the night of the July 25th, while the staff were, of course, off duty for the day because it was late at night. So there was tire tracks all over the number 16 green, I believe it was. I do have that listed in the story there. And a flagpole was also run over, so that was snapped. Crews found it that morning and were able to quickly tend to it. Again, the damage to the green itself was fairly minor, and thankfully they did have extra flag sticks on hand, so they got that replaced pretty quickly, and very, very thankfully at that, because perhaps you're familiar, maybe you're not, but apparently the golf course had a very busy few days coming up for them. Actually, one of those events that is actually on the same page 7 there, right across from that. yeah, very, very thankfully that was very minor in terms
That's
of
right.
damage.
The Touchwood golf tournament occurred earlier this week. As Casper said, you can see pictures and a little bit of information on that right next to this story. And as well, coming up next week, they have the Westman Junior Golf Tour that's going to be in town. They have the club's Lady Seniors event that's going to be going on. So they've got a lot of events on the go right now. So to see something like this occur at this timing, it's really unfortunate to see something like that transpire.
It really is, yeah. I mean, even with the events that are upcoming for them aside, I mean, it's just unfortunate to see in general, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is something that, if I remember correctly, you know, similar incidences have occurred in the past. And I think we've covered those as well. I mean, I don't get why people do it.
Well, again,
you know?
what it comes down to really is a lot of it is boredom. And, you know, kids. We don't know if it was kids. We don't know if it was punk kids. You see, whenever you say something like that, you got to go punk kids. All right, it's just natural. But punk kids get bored, and just between you and me. All right. Don't tell this to my parents, because if you do, I'll probably get grounded. I'm 51 years old, but I'll still get grounded. But let's just say, as a youth, I got into the occasional incident or accident or occurrence here or there in my in the community I was raised in, out and about with a couple ne'er-do-wells from time to time. You know, I was a punk kid. I was, to a degree. But again, like, not to the same... How do I say this without getting up in jail, Casper? Everything I destroyed was essentially abandoned, all right? Okay? So, but again, it's one of those things of youth, just, I'm assuming. Maybe it's those roving bands of midlife crises they're out there doing this damage. We don't know. I mean, what a 38-year-old's got to do? You know, we don't know that.
Yeah, don't know.
Yeah,
but
but whomever it is, like, come on, be better than that. Come on.
Yeah,
give your head a shake. Don't give Art's head a shake.
Yeah, please don't.
No, but give your own head a shake. Come on, really.
Yeah, there's a lot of time and effort that goes into making the statue and then upkeeping the course as well. So it definitely doesn't feel good to see those efforts, for lack of better phrasing, I guess, trashed on in such a way.
Yeah, yeah. If you're going to do something with your time, educate yourself. Make yourself better. Enlighten yourself in some way, shape, or form. And you can do that by heading down to your local library. Segues quite nicely into the next story we're going to be talking about. I had an opportunity earlier this week to speak with the new branch manager, the Neepawa Public Library, Caitlin Henderson. I had a few minutes of her time to share some information, a little bit of her background, where she's coming from, because she's a new arrival to the community of Neepawa. She's from initially and originally from the city, or actually the town of the Paw. Spent many years up there as a youth, went and got her education in Saskatchewan, went back to her hometown, was able to spend the next decade or so going through the system as a part of their public library, and an opportunity presented itself, obviously, down here. So she decided to come down here, and she's getting acclimated to the community. She's getting used to it. It is a little bit different if you've never been up north. It is a bit of a culture shock, quite honestly. And we did talk a little bit about that. Down in southern Manitoba, especially in the Westman region, you've got a lot of little communities, and you can go, like, from Neepawa, you can do a day trip to Mandosa, or down to Rivers, Rapid City, Gladstone, even far down to Carberry. I was talking to somebody the other day. They were saying they were thinking of doing a day trip down to Souris. You can do things like that in the area like this. It's a nice little out and about, as it were, and get a feel for what other communities, nearby communities, are like. You can't really do that all that much in northern Manitoba. If you're a loyal and consistent viewer of the show, you know I was raised in Thompson, Manitoba, which is about 750 kilometers pretty much straight north of here. And the city of Thompson is surrounded by trees. And then you go over to the east, and it's surrounded by trees. Then you go further south, it's surrounded by trees. You go a little further south, it's still surrounded by trees. It is civilization, and then completely and utterly surrounded for hours on end by isolation and alone. It's, for people who are not ready for something like that, it can be a bit of a culture shock, but we never think about the reverse of that culture shock. I mean, coming from a place like that and coming down here where it's like, oh my God, everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah, I mean, you go from, okay, yep, trees.
Yep.
On the other side, oh, trees.
Yep.
To, oh, it's just kind of open. It's all just plains. What the heck? I can see everything.
Exactly. She mentioned that as well. The fact that it is just so level. Because even though northern Manitoba is still Manitoba, we don't have many mountains, but there is ebbs and flows to it to a degree a little further up north. And again, it is beautiful. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not denigrating or anything northern Manitoba. Mm-hmm. Again, like I said, I lived there for 18 years when my family moved over from Ireland, and I have very fond memories of that. The winters are cold, but the spring and summer are great. They're unbelievable. If you like to fish, if you like to hunt, that's amazing. If you like to go camping, it's an amazing it's got a lot of different things up there. It's but it's nice to see somebody coming down from that and appreciating what we have to offer. She said everyone's been very welcoming so far, so she's getting used to the community, getting used to the new faces, as it were. So it's wonderful to be able to use this story as well as an opportunity maybe to introduce her. If you haven't been into the library, if you haven't seen her, had a chance to introduce yourselves yet, I do suggest you pop in, say hi, welcome her to the community. I mean, she is very much looking forward to being a part of our community. So hopefully you'll get a chance to make sure that she feels welcome. So, once again, you can find that story in this week's edition of the Neepawa Banner Press. Just one of many of the things we had a chance to talk about this week. We talked a little bit earlier about a lot of the festivities that are going on. Hopefully Caitlin will be having a chance to go to some of these festivities that are occurring out and about. One of which is a big one that's going to be on the go right now. And Casper, you had a chance to talk about this. The second, if I remember off the top of my head correctly, the second annual White Mud Music Festival.
Yes, indeed. You're correct. It is the second annual White Mud Music Festival. This one is held, annually now, in Arden at the Centennial Park, the Lansdowne Centennial Park. And it features a wide variety of bands by the sounds of it. I have a couple in there for example that you can learn a little bit about. I mean, it's coming right up. It's on August 23rd and 24th, and it really sounds like a just packed event. Of course, it's very music-centric. There's going to be some food trucks and whatnot there as well, though, for people to enjoy, which, I have to say, I kind of miss the food truck scene. I haven't seen it around too often, or at least I haven't been to things that have that too often. Yeah. So it's been quite a while, but it's pretty fun.
I'll just pop in here. You bring that up. It's like, the food truck thing, it's almost like thrift stores from 5 or 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Thrift stores were fun because they were still a little underground, but you had an opportunity, and then everybody started to go and do that. And it feels like the food trucks to a degree are having that same thing. It was like, food trucks used to be a little underground. It was that nice little, oh my God, you can really get something nice here. But now everybody knows about them. It's like, God, people ruin everything.
It's pretty cool, though, seeing people's ideas for them, though. I mean, for example, in town here, we usually have a boba truck that comes around. So I can't believe, actually, that I haven't gone there yet when they've been here and gotten something from there. But I've always heard fantastic things about it. Yeah, I think the last time I was anywhere with a bit of a food truck scene, if I'm recalling it correctly, I think it was actually quite a few years ago now when my parents and I were on a trip to BC, and maybe we were in Calgary or something, just sort of on the way, and there was some sort of like cultural festival going on. And oh my God, that was packed. It had amazing food. It had so many interesting things to see. Oh, it was just a great time all around. But circling back to here in Manitoba, in Arden, that is going to be going on at the end of this month, pretty much. And I mean, it's a great cause too. They're raising money for the, the curling club? I listed in there, and I'm trying to remember.
If I remember right, yeah.
Curling club. So all the funds raised go back to the community, which is awesome.
Most definitely, if you get an opportunity, the month of August, there isn't a single solitary weekend that doesn't have something amazing going on nearby. So if that's in your thing, you like varieties of food, if you like music, maybe that's for you. But maybe you want to do something slightly different, but not all that slightly different. We got a great story. It was submitted by Rob Waddell talking about the Kelwood Ag Fair and the Harvest Sun Music Festival that is going to be coming up as well soon. I mean, that's going to be happening on Saturday, August 10th. So you can use this maybe as a primer to get ready for the White Mud Music Festival a week or two later. But it's wonderful to see that obviously Kelwood and Harvest Sun has a little bit more of a heritage, a little bit more of a history behind it. It's been going on for many more years than White Mud has. But they try and make it as special as possible as well. They bring in different varieties of cuisines. They have a quilt show that's a part of it as well. If I remember right, they usually have the classic car show. Oh, this has nothing to do with the newspaper right now, but this is just something funny, Casper, that occurred as I was driving to go get some lunch today, actually.
Okay.
In Neepawa. I was actually driving down to get some lunch, and driving past me, you might not, this shows my age again, but it was a case of a white, wood-paneled, early 80s station wagon in pristine condition drove right past me with those, those automotive vintage license plates you get in Manitoba that are like, this is a classic car?
Yeah.
It had those on there. And it was like, it was a bit of a, oh my God, this is awesome. And at the same time, oh my God, this is so sad that a wood-paneled station wagon is considered a classic car. Oh my God. It was hilarious to me and depressing to me all at once. And who knows, maybe that'll be part of the audio show in Kelwood. Whomever owns that classic car, thank you very much. It was a nice little trip back in the Wayback Machine. And know that the work you've put into that wood-paneled station wagon is greatly appreciated. I don't know what my parents were thinking. My parents were the generation when you'd look at an auto vehicle and say, you know what that needs? Wood. It needs to have more of a mahogany look to it. That's what real cars look like. Yeah. Something the Flintstones might drive.
It's definitely an era of cars, I'll say, that has its unique features. I mean, every sort of time period of car really kind of does, but that one in particular kind of stands out to me especially, and you don't see those ones too often, I don't think. So that would be that'd be quite the sight to see, and awesome to see too. I mean, that's incredible.
Well, again, you might not see that at the Kelwood, and you might not see that. We got the Minnedosa Fair that's going to be coming up later this month. We're probably going to be talking about that in a future edition of the Banner Press as well. But hopefully we'll see some classic vehicles out and about to coincide with some sensational music that's going to be on the stages in Kelwood. All right, we're going to close up. We got a few minutes left, but we're going to talk very quickly about this. The Neepawa Titans had their annual general meeting recently. Each and every year before the hockey season begins, the community has a chance to sort of find out all the positives and in some cases all the negatives that have been going on or off the ice with our local Junior A hockey team. This year, fortunately, we can talk a little bit more positively. In their AGM, they reported that they had a profit this year of just under $17,000. This is big. For a mid to small market team like Neepawa, to be able to make money year over year like this is a step in the right direction. In the last 10 years, they've only made a profit in 4 of those years, this year being the most recent. So it's always better to go forward as opposed to go back. They attribute a couple things to it. They've changed up their sponsorship and fundraising initiatives. They've simplified the process, and they feel that's worked out very well with their partnerships with local businesses. And of course, being good. That's a huge help. They had a very successful season. Most wins they've been able to put together in about 12 or 13 years. Most points, if I remember correctly, they've been able to put together during the regular season in about 10 or 12 years. And they made the playoffs for the second time in that same 10 to 12 year period. So there were a lot of little successes that all incrementally built up to make this a success. It's not all good news though. That's why you gotta pick up a copy of the paper and read for yourself. We don't have time to go into all the details, but they still have the SEEB loan that is hanging over their head. A lot of nonprofit organizations got that during COVID-19. It had to be paid back by a certain time. There's many businesses that were unable to do so. Unfortunately, the Neepawa Titans are one of those as well, so that's something they will have to deal with in the near future. They're also going to have to deal with the elimination of the Bantam draft in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League. The Neepawa Titans were one of only 2 teams of the 13 league circuit that voted against the elimination of the draft. So what that does is, if you're a Bantam hockey player, you can sign with any team you want, anywhere. That sounds great for the parents, that sounds great for the kids, but at the same time, like I said, a small and a mid-market team, I'll be honest with you. If you got a chance, with all due respect to our new branch manager, Caitlin Henderson, who is from the Paw, if you have a chance to play in the Paw, or you got a chance to play in Portage and Steinbach in those brand new rinks, which one are you taking? I know where I'd be, quite honestly. And Neepawa falls somewhere in the middle of that. So that's going to be a big challenge for them that they're going to have to deal with moving ahead. But hopefully they're going to find a way to do it. We have so much more we could have talked about with you today, but we didn't have enough time. That's why it's always important for you to support us by picking up a copy of the paper. As we said, 30 different communities throughout Western Manitoba where you can pick up a physical copy of the Neepawa Banner Press each and every week, or you can find it online at mywestman.ca. If you have any story ideas for us, if you can keep them to yourself for the next couple weeks, because we're full with all these events, but if September comes, we're going to be desperate for stories then. But if you have any story ideas, you can always contact us at news@neepawabanner.com or via phone at 476-3401. There's so many things on the go right now. I wish I had time to share with you, but that's why you're going to have to sort of keep in touch and keep consistent with going through the pages of the paper each and every week. So that pretty much wraps it up here. Casper, like I said, there's so many more stories you did this week that we didn't have time for, but always appreciative of you taking the time for the show and obviously for writing.
Absolutely, and thank you as well for all that you do too, and thank you all for joining us on this week's edition of the show. I'm looking forward to the next one.
And as am I, although, hopefully it'll be a little cooler next time.
Indeed.
But until then, thank you. Have a wonderful long weekend, this August long weekend, and we'll see you again on NAC TV and the story behind the stories.